Hello everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar. For today's topic, we will be introducing the concept of custom AI translation and why we believe it is a game changer for companies. For our first session, we will be demonstrating the difference between generic and custom AI models. However, we are going to approach this a little bit differently. Instead of just talking about translation quality, we are going to be testing it live. What we will be doing today is running the same piece of content through two translation approaches. First, we will translate a piece of content using generic AI translation, the kind of tool that most people use today. Then, we will translate the exact same content using a custom AI translation model developed by MYL. Generic AI is trained on massive public datasets. It does a very good job of understanding language broadly, but it doesn't know your industry, your product terminology, or your brand voice. So what often happens if we translate with generic AI models is that the translation is technically correct, but not necessarily the message you wish to convey. With MYL's custom AI translation, the model is trained with your terminology, your past translations, and your brand language. Now we can go through a side-by-side comparison to review some of the differences between these two outputs. Comparing our first example, the generic model, followed by our custom AI variation, you can see that the major change is the tone of voice applied to this particular headline. In our second example, this shows a specific piece of terminology that this client would like to use, the name for this parade. And in this case, our custom AI model would of course understand the naming convention that our client prefers, and will be able to apply it correctly. In our third example, we have taken the last paragraph of this translation, and as you can see from the comparison, there is significant increase in the use of brand language, and the clarity of the message is also better defined. As you can clearly see, not all AI translations are created equal. In our second session, we will be talking about how AI handles a brand's tone of voice. This is one of the leading concerns for all of our customers, because translation isn't just about words, it's about tone, personality, and positioning. Think about your brand for a moment. Are you premium and sophisticated, friendly and conversational, or technical and precise? Most generic AI models do not have this information. They translate text literally, often producing content that sounds flat, generic, or inconsistent. That is where custom AI models can make the difference. MYL's approach to customization involves 3 steps. The first step is called fine-tuning. Instead of relying only on generic internet data, a custom AI model can be trained using your company's existing translated content and style guide. This can include website translations, product documentation, marketing materials, or any translation memory repositories you may own. This allows the AI to learn the company's industry language and brand style. The second step is called terminology injection. Here, we provide the AI model with a glossary of approved terms, product names, and preferred translations. This ensures critical phrases are always translated correctly and consistently. The third and final element is continuous learning. As new translations are created and reviewed by humans, they can be used to update your model so that it continuously improves over time. In the end, instead of simply translating sentences, the AI model begins to replicate how your brand communicates. The result? Translations that feel like they were written by your company and not generated by a machine. And this becomes especially important when you scale across multiple markets and languages. Without brand-aligned AI, your message can slowly drift across languages. With a fine-tuned translation model, your brand voice stays consistent globally. In our next session, we will show how AI becomes even more powerful when combined with human expertise. Now let's talk about when and why it is important to integrate humans into this process, into what MYL calls our hybrid translation workflow. MYL's custom AI models can get you close to a perfect translation, but for almost all published content, the final touches can make all the difference in the world. This is why the most effective translation strategy today is not AI alone and not human translation alone. It is a combination of both. Here is how the workflow typically operates. First, Let's revisit the custom AI translation we generated earlier. Because the model is already trained with your terminology and previously translated content, the output is far more accurate than generic AI. This is where the second stage begins. We can send this content for human review and specify any specific improvements that we would like to make. The human linguist can focus on things like cultural nuance, market appropriateness, brand tone adjustments, or any specific phrases or areas that you are not happy with from the initial AI output. Because the AI has already done most of the heavy lifting, human translators can work much faster and much more efficiently. This dramatically reduces turnaround time while still ensuring high quality and publication-ready content. Think of AI as the first draft and human translators as the final quality layer. The result is the best of both worlds: speed and scalability from AI, along with precision and cultural understanding from humans. For most organizations, this hybrid model delivers higher quality translations at a significantly lower cost. Speaking of cost, in our next session, we are going to look directly at the numbers themselves. When organizations start exploring AI translation, the first question they usually ask is, what is the return on investment? Well, let's break this down. Traditional human translation typically costs between 10 and 20 US cents per word, depending on the language and subject matter. For companies producing large amounts of content, websites, documentation, or product descriptions, those costs can add up quite quickly. AI translation dramatically changes this equation. With custom AI translation, the cost per word can drop between 70 to 90%. Suppose you also wish to have your content further reviewed to ensure there's no decrease in quality compared to your current human translation process. The cost for human review of custom AI translated content can be up to 50% less than human translation. Identical output quality at half the cost. But cost is only one part of the story, with speed being another major factor. Human translation alone might take days or weeks. For large content volumes, AI can translate that same content within minutes. Even if additional human review is required, work can be delivered in half the time with no loss in quality. With this hybrid approach, companies often see faster global content launches, lower translation costs, and higher consistency across markets. For example, companies expanding into 5 to 10 new markets often discover that translation is no longer a bottleneck. Instead of asking, "Can we afford to translate this?" the question becomes, "Why wouldn't we translate everything?" That shift unlocks enormous opportunities for global growth and localization at scale. In our final session, we will discuss data privacy. Let's look at what happens to your data with custom AI translation. Unlike public AI tools, enterprise translation systems operate within secure environments, ensuring your content and data remain confidential. At MYL, we offer the following guarantees for custom AI translation subscribers. First, your data is never used to train models for any purpose other than your own work. Second, we offer several secure cloud options for the hosting and access of your data. And third, our services are designed to closely align with key regulations like GDPR and CCPA. The end result is an AI system that becomes increasingly aligned with your business over time. It's not just translation automation, it's a translation engine trained specifically for your company. And that's what makes custom AI translation so powerful. If you think that this would add value to your existing translation process, let's start a conversation. Feel free to contact us at sales@mylglobal.com. Thank you.